Okay.
Okay.
Right. So, would you like to tell me who you are and what role you play at Medway?
So my name's Dionne. I'm one of the physios at the moment on the rotation for front door therapies, and I studied in East London and I've qualified this year, so I joined during the COVID register.
Oh, that must be a really interesting experience.
Yeah, it was. So my graduation was brought forward, so I didn't have my final placement. I had an essay to do instead, because the risk to sending students out at the moment on placement was too high. So I did an essay instead, and then it was quite quick. So I kind of had an early graduation on the Friday, and then I started here literally the next week. So thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah. Where are you from?
So I live in Chatham, Rochester. I was born in Chatham. My dad's St Lucian and my mum's half Greek Cypriot. So yeah, just local.
You've always lived in this area?
Always lived in this area. I've done 2 degrees. My first degree I did in Gloucestershire. So I lived there for 3 years. It was lovely. And then moved back home to
And was that a decision because you wanted to come back to Medway?
It was a decision. My uni course had finished and I didn't really know what I was going to do after it. So I did a degree in applied biology and equine science. It doesn't really lead to anywhere. It sounds really fancy. So after I finished with that, unless you wanted to go into research or lecturing and things like that, I just felt like I'd hit a bit of a brick wall, and I'd got a job with Kent Police. So I came back to do that.
So you had a lot of experience before coming into
so before I did this, I was counted as a mature student. So yeah, I've come in with a lot of different experience, and I think the policing background definitely helped, because I wasn't a police officer, was like HR based.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting, lots of scenes. So I think that helps me relate a little bit more to the patients that I see as well. Definitely.
What do you like about Medway Maritime Hospital?
I was talking to my colleagues about this the other day. It sounds really weird, but I remember growing up walking through like the same corridors and nothing has changed hardly. But being like, oh, I remember when I came here for that. And then my granddad also came here. He had a stroke when we still had the stroke services, and he came here, and that's kind of what spurred me into the physio kind of things, because the therapy team here were really good to him and like really helped him along on his way. So yeah, I really liked that kind of environment, and it was really nice because I've lived in this community forever, so coming back to work within the communities also was something that I was quite interested in coming to experience. But I'm dreading the day I see someone I know as a patient.
Do you notice any differences between working with the police and then working in the
NHS? Yes and no. So I suppose both in the police and the NHS it's still quite hierarchical. So there is in that respect, but then within your own team there wasn't so much, because I wasn't an officer. You don't have to call people sergeant and things like that. So yes and no. There's sort of the same kind of structure, and at the end of the day it's a public service role, so everyone's in that job, not just, obviously no one's doing it for the money, but because they want to be there and help people. So there's definitely, you are surrounded by empathetic, same-minded people, which is quite nice. So some similarities and some differences.
Yeah. If you could change one thing about the hospital, what would it be?
I don't know. I suppose it'd be quite nice if it was updated, but I think it needs a big infusion of money from the money tree.
Yeah, the money tree.
Yeah, and updated, because I think at Medway we are at risk of losing out some really amazing members of staff to the bigger London trusts, because they get the funding for it, so they are able to provide these massive big stroke services and things like that. I suppose I'm answering it from a therapist's point of view, but yeah, I do think we're at risk of losing some really amazing members of staff, just because unfortunately the funding's not there to build these amazing services that would be quite nice to have, but it is what it is.
Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest challenge to your career?
I don't know. My parents have always been really, really encouraging of me to do whatever I want, follow your dreams. If you don't like something, change it. So I suppose that's why when I was growing up, I wanted to be a vet. Then I decided I didn't want to be a vet. Then I wanted to go into equine and compete. And I didn't go very far in that. I bought the wrong type of horse. And then, then I went to work for the police, and then I came to do physio. Then I looked at air traffic controlling and floristry. So I've kind of looked at everything. So yeah, I think that is one thing. Oh, I can't remember the question. What was the question?
The question was, what's the biggest challenge?
Oh yeah, the biggest challenge. Yeah, I think it's settling on one thing is my biggest challenge for myself, and I want to be amazing at everything, and I just think that's not. You're just not able to do that. You can't be amazing at everything. So I'm glad I've settled with physio, and there's so many different avenues to it. I would like to progress through to physio and become some sort of specialist in a field once I decide that field, because every field at the moment I really enjoy. So yeah, I suppose to me it's just my indecisiveness of just actually realising where I want to be and how I want to do it. Like I looked at moving to America to do physio, but in America it's a different kind of setup. It's quite difficult to convert your licence, so that didn't happen. So yeah, deciding what I want to do and where I want to be and how I want to do it is probably my biggest barrier to myself, but yeah.
And if you could go back in time and give a piece of advice to your younger self, what would that be? Oh,
I don't know. I suppose it'd just be to not be afraid to go and do new things. So yeah, although I have gone and I have done everything, it's not always been with the most confidence doing it. So like physio, I was like, I don't know if this is really for me, and I don't know if I can do this. And I think it's just to like be confident. I think it's going to work out. Like I know when I graduated as a physio, I was 25, so I was a lot older than some of the other people, and then I feel like I was behind a lot of my friends. So I suppose it would be like, you'll get there when you get there, don't worry about it. And like, it sounds awful, like without like race type of thing, I'll come into it, but I suppose this year it's quite like a relevant conversation. It's not to doubt yourself, not to think, why haven't I got there yet, and things like that. And is it because of this, or is it because your face doesn't fit? And I think, although it's not always prevalent and things like that, it sometimes can stick at the back of your mind, and I think that doesn't need to be there. And if you have concerns, don't be afraid to speak up about it, because I know in the past I've maybe not said much or said things, or something's been said and I think, oh God, that's inappropriate. And then but not challenge it. And I think definitely working within the police and here, there is such a big, if you see something, you can challenge it, and it doesn't have to be in an aggressive way or like anything like that. You can just say like politely, oh, I'm really sorry, can you not say that? Or why did you say that? Which I think is a really good question to ask somebody, like, oh, I've not heard, why did you say it like that? And then to let people come back and answer, because it's always an opportunity to educate people as well, because some people just don't know, and if they haven't been exposed to it, like growing up in primary school, it was me and my sister, and we were the only non-white people in the school for literally years. And then people just like come up touching your hair, or they'll be like, oh, your hair's so fluffy, and that used to really grate on me, but like, oh my God, don't call me. And then as I got older, I just learned to be like, oh, why are you calling my hair fluffy? And they're like, oh, because it's curly. And I'm like, yeah, it's curly, it's not fluffy. I don't like it when you say that. And it's just having that confidence in yourself to be able to be like, can you not do that? But equally saying to people when they say something like that I really like, I'm like, oh, that's a really good way to say it. Like, where are you from? Like, what's your heritage? That's such a better way to say, like, where are you from? And then they'll be like, no, but where are you from? So yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
No worries. Sorry, I think I went a bit off topic there.